Herzlich willkommen bei OKiTALK. Welcome to OKiTALK today, the 20th of September 2023. We have a special exploration today with Standing Bear, interviewed by Bernadette, as she has much more expertise than me within this topic. So I'm very happy to have the both of you here. I'll hand it off to you, Bernadette. Thanks everyone for joining, and I hope you all enjoy yourself.
Thank you very much, Raphael. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Bernadette. I'm from the Light Anchor Association, and it's really a great honor to welcome also Standing Bear tonight, who will talk about indigenous spirituality, about the medicine wheel and its teaching. Very warm welcome to this interview. And I think we should start with a little prayer, with a little ritual.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. That would be beautiful. Let's start off in the usual way here, in our usual traditional way. We offer a little pinch of tobacco, and the old ones say, if it doesn't start with prayer, then it doesn't begin. If it doesn't begin with spirit, then it doesn't begin. And if it doesn't begin with offering, then it doesn't begin. So we offer a little pinch of tobacco, a little help from above. And then Wikiagna, Wikimanitu, Kimegwit. Thank you, Kimegwit, for our life. Kimegwit for our day. Kimegwit for our circle. We come here today, we mean no harm in what we do. We come here in a good way. We come here to live in accordance with spiritual law. We come here to learn and to love. We come here to honor all directions. We come here to honor all nations, tribes, and circles, especially those nations, tribes, and circles that do not look like the two-legged, like the standing nations, the ones that offer the world breath. We say thank you. To the swimming nations, the ones who teach us how to live in harmony and balance with the water. To the winged nations, the ones who teach us how to live in harmony and balance with the wind and air. To the creepy crawlers and the slithers, the ones who teach us how to live close and grounded to Mother Earth. To the four-legged nations, circles, and tribes, the ones who offer us and teach us so much about our humanity, we say thank you. And of course, the other two-legged nations, circles, and tribes, all two-legged nations, circles, and tribes, because we understand that you are our teachers, and this makes our ears and our hearts very happy. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the beautiful start. It opens all gateways in all directions. And as I'm dealing with the medicine wheel since many, many years, I just got to know that there's not only one medicine wheel, there are many, many different medicine wheels, which are all like maps guiding to the same goal.
Sure.
And so I'm very curious about your medicine wheel. Maybe you can talk about the differences between the medicine wheels.
Well, that's a great question. There's a concept that we live in two worlds, right? We live in the colonial world, and then we live in the spiritual world. We live in with Mother Earth. And so, that being said, just like individuals all have their individual gifts, right? And so a person has, like an artist or a painter, right? Each tribe has their individual gifts too. So they offer the world their gift. So we have, so it is our place to understand that there are so many right ways that we don't have, that we don't question the elders from different tribes. So there's so many right ways to do this, right? So the medicine wheels from South America are a little different than the medicine wheels in the Southwest or in the eastern part of the United States. That is so important that we understand that, because it takes away that place of right and wrong, which is really part of the sickness, right? People come up and say, well, that's not the right way to do it. This is not me. That's the sickness. That's the stuff that will keep us separate. What we're supposed to do, what the medicine wheel teaches, is that there's so many right ways to do it. Like the different colors and where to begin, and the different medicines, and all this stuff. That is absolutely beautiful. All we have to say at that point, when I listen to your teachers, when I listen to your elders, I say that's another beautiful way to do it. And it's really that simple, because the medicine talks about love. It talks about connection. That's the red road. That's what we're doing here. We're building connections through this beautiful thing called life. That's what we're supposed to do. And every tribe and every medicine man, like it looks a little different. So the medicine men and women for individual tribes, they specifically do it for that tribe. So like say here in the Southwest, it looks a little different than it does up in the North Prairie, where I'm from in central Canada. It just looks a little different. But again, all we have to say is that is another beautiful way.
It also adapts the medicine wheel to the region where people start to live the medicine wheel. And this is also very interesting. I met a lady who is doing African shamanism in South Africa, and she had a medicine wheel which was completely different than mine. And she was calling out her directions. And I was just asking the medicine wheel that I can embody the direction and the energy which wants to be embodied right now, no matter what element is in my direction of my medicine wheel, whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, what you just referenced, like the deeper part of that is love, right? Love is in our traditions, there's 7 sacred teachings, and that's a medicine wheel teaching. So every direction has its own teaching, like honesty, respect, wisdom, courage, truth, love, and wisdom. So like every direction has their own teaching. It is love that understands that it carries all these teachings, right? And so when you say that, it embodies the comprehension that, hey, look, they're all beautiful, right? That's like saying one individual from one particular region doesn't understand, right? We don't say that. We don't go to the Black Road and we say, what, that's all wrong, right? Our medicine wheel says, again, and this is another beautiful way. There's so many right ways to do this, and that love concept, man. It's people don't understand what love is, right? And that's if we really want to go back down to traditional indigenous medicine wheel teachings, we have to understand what that is. We are here for one reason, right? The bottom line is to celebrate life and our connection to that. How do we do that? Well, we connect to all life, right? Like we connect in all directions. We connect to the water. We connect to those things that give us life, those spirits, air, water, fire, earth. That's a medicine wheel teaching. We connect to the ancestors. That's a medicine wheel teaching. We connect to the next 7 generations. That's a medicine wheel teaching, right? So every and this is all the red road. So everything overlaps. All these teachings overlap, because we can't have love without humility. We can't have humility without truth. We can't have truth, So here, this is what a grandmother told me a long time ago. You ready for this? Okay. This is, can you see it? This is a braid of sweetgrass. This is one of the 4 sacred herbs. For us, this is the medicine of the South. And what this is, these are individual strands braided together. Right? And then when we circle them up, this is what we're supposed to be. This is all of us right here. This is you, me, the sun, the moon, all those listeners out there, everybody on Facebook. We are all intertwined and overlapping. Takes us away from again, that colonial sickness that keeps us separated. Yeah. Once we engage in that, in that separation, that's where the sickness comes in. You see, the medicine wheel teaches us that when the medicine comes together, when the medicine gathers, that's when the miracles happen. That's when the healing happens. That's when the love. It's that beautiful, beautiful, simple place where we connect to, I sat with this beautiful Miccosukee elder, Betty Osceola, and she's down in Florida, and she did this absolutely beautiful water ceremony. She had water from all directions. The women sat around the water, and the men supported, surrounding again, honoring again what the sacred feminine, the sacred water. That's just another beautiful one. That's a Miccosukee way. That's a Florida way to do it. But that is so beautiful and so powerful. It brought tears to my eyes. I just, I still get those chills when I think about it. We were sitting in the middle of the Everglades, right? But yeah, there was these prayers and these songs and these beautiful Indigenous women. They brought out that life. They offer us life. The water offers us life. Love offers us life. The grandmothers offer us life. The sacred feminine offers us. See, it all overlaps and intertwines. So there's some places. I do a lot of teaching. Right? I get to travel around, and some people say, well, just talk about humility, right? Let's just focus in on humility. And really, the teaching is you can't focus in on humility without focusing in on life and love and courage and all these things, which are relatives. And in fact, they're more than relatives. They are spiritual agreements. Love is a spiritual agreement. It is an agreement that I will honor humility, courage, honesty, respect, wisdom. That's the agreement. So we talked a little bit earlier in before the show. It's like, well, how do we live? How do we incorporate this medicine into our lives? Well, like one of those things that we do is we sit with the water, we sit with the fire. These are our greatest teachers, and they are right in front of us all the time, right? And so. We come from this corporate, industrial, patriarchal world, which really just is there as social engineering to divide us. But when we start living a spiritual life, guess what happens? We start finding the person who we are supposed to be. That's like the real short answer. I don't know. I kind of forgot the question. I just got to carry on. Sorry about that. I tend to get carried away though, because I love this. This is just stuff that brought me back to life, right?
Yes, I understand that. I had the same when I was learning about the medicine wheel.
Yeah.
It taught me how everything is functioning, where we come from, where we go. The creation story is included in the medicine wheel.
Right.
It's a lot about polarity. It's a lot about feminine energy, masculine energy, how to balance these two energies. And yes, it's as I said before, it's a map.
Right.
And it's a very beautiful map connected to nature, how
Right.
you reconnect to nature, to reconnect to yourself and to your higher self and to
Right.
all the power which lays inside of you.
Right. To align with life. Right. That's what we're searching. You know, our ancestors. You know, you mentioned harmony and balance, right? Well, there's a story that is part of our creation story that talks about the first prayer at the center of the universe, right? The first prayer, the first fire that ever went, the one that created everything. That prayer was harmony and balance. And that's who we really are. When we come down to it, we are the same DNA that started from the original prayer. We have we have forgotten our spiritual agreement. We as true legacy, we are supposed to live in harmony and balance. That's the deal. But we have forgotten that, like how to do that, because we have gotten this fear. We have gotten this. We have got religions, we have gotten nationalities, we have gotten corporations, we have gotten all these things which separate us from our spirit. You know, the most important, you know, there's people ask me, what am I supposed to do? What's my purpose? Well, you know, figure out how to live a good life. Well, how do I do that? Align yourself with those things that offer us life. You know, again, my teachings are air, water, fire, earth. Let's start there. Again, that's reflected in the directions of the medicine wheel. On the screen here, can the people see the screen? The medicine wheel in the back? Okay, so there's yellow, which for us would signify the east. Our red is actually to the west, and black is to the south, but that's okay. But these are the directions that offer us life. So in the morning, you know, people ask me, like, where do we begin, right? Well, one, the medicine wheel tells us that we begin in the east. We begin with facing east, and then we simply offer a little tobacco to the east with gratitude and thank you. And then when we face the east at sunrise, that is so important, because at sunrise, the old ones say the veil is thinnest, right? You know, right when it comes up, we are welcoming back the ancestor, not just one ancestor, but all the ancestors. So we sit there with love, and we sit there with gratitude, because we need help. We have, and what they offer us is another day. So it is the ancestors that offer us another. I think we should be a little grateful for the ancestors to offer us, to bring us, to nourish us, to feed us, to love us, to show us a really beautiful way to live, because we have forgotten how to do that. You see, the ancestors lived in accordance with spiritual law. So, like the first eagle, the first bear, the Bear Nation, they lived in accordance with spiritual law. Right? So the bear was always a bear. The bear didn't want to be the eagle. Right? The eagle didn't want to be the pigeon. The pigeon didn't want to be the crow. They lived exactly the way that they were supposed to be. Right? And again, that's an agreement that we have forgotten to see, because we want to be everything. And the way we live our life is our offering to the next 7 generations. Are we giving? Are we focusing in on our healing? Are we focusing in on, maybe we need to be in recovery? Maybe we're still drinking, we're drugging, but maybe there's still some sort of trauma or abuse that hasn't been addressed. Maybe we're doing self-serving, selfish behaviors, self-soothing behaviors. Maybe that is a place of healing. And the medicine wheel, it's really clear. It is direct. It tells us what to do. It tells us the directions. It tells us what to do. It tells us how to do it. And it tells us how to do it. Yeah, in a really good and beautiful way, because we are here to celebrate life.
Mm. Yeah, the beautiful thing, I totally agree what you say, is that the medicine wheel shows us where we are standing right now.
Right.
It shows us
Right.
how to find balance again.
Right. Right.
It even shows us what is our medicine, what we should bring to life.
Right.
And
Exactly.
if we listen to the medicine wheel carefully, it has all the answers for us,
Right.
always. We
Right.
just forget to ask the medicine wheel.
You know, like here's the thing. People think this is like an easy thing, right? And it's we call it the red road. It is broad and roomy. It is the road of wellness. It is the road of all life. But here's the thing, you know, if it were easy, everybody would do it. The thing is, it's not. It's there is a spiritual book that I read. It's a recovery book, and in that book, it says the most powerful minds I have ever heard, a price has to be paid. That means we have to show up. Right? We have to show up to the sunrise. We have to show up to the sunrise ceremony. We have to show up to the sweatline ceremony. We have to put some skin in the game, right? If we don't show up, then we will repeat, and then the patterns will repeat over and over and over again until that place, that time, that trauma, that abuse is healed, right? Right. And here's like another thing too. It's, don't get me started. I think it's too late. I think it's so you just brought up value and gift, right? And that is so beautiful, right? But here's like the thing too. A price has to be paid. Right? So humility, right? Part of the medicine wheel, right? That is represented in my tradition by the wolf, right? Wolf, finding our place in the circle, finding our place in the family, right? Knowing that family, the circle of life, will protect us. The power of the wolf is in the pack. The power of the pack is in the wolf, right? So finding our place in the circle, knowing that we live, that there's a great circle of life, and that we have a seat, a part in it, not a part away from it, but a specific, beautiful part within that circle. And until we do until we do that spiritual work, we will, we're just spiritually clumsy people, and until we do that spiritual work, like we're drinking and we do all these selfish and self-serving and self-soothing behavior, and until we learn to live a beautiful, powerful life, and it's really about again just honoring those directions. Grandfather Tony, my direct elder, and I've been doing this for 30 years, right? And I've been walking the red road. I actually did not grow up this way, right? Do you know my background at all? Do you know a little bit?
No, I wanted to ask you anyway
Okay.
where you have your knowledge from.
Yeah, well, so like the short story, like the short background of it is, I'm a 60s scoop survivor. I'm not quite sure if you know what that is, but what that is it's a Canadian policy of assimilation where they came in and they stole indigenous babies and they put them into foster care and put me into an orphanage. The day of my birth, I was stolen from my tribe, my heritage, my mom, and then they put me in an orphanage again, 800 miles away. Then I kind of graduated up to being in foster care. And then I was sold by the church to a white American family. And so that's how I went from Canada down to the States. And so I grew up in actually New Jersey. It's like middle America, white collar, middle class, middle America. And back then it was in the middle 70s, and back then, I'm not sure if you're aware, but in the States, um, as an indigenous, as an Indian, we were considered very dirty, and like nobody really wanted anything to do with us. We were considered alcoholics, and we were saying, fighters, and like all this stuff. It wasn't until later that concept, that narrative had changed. And so, kind of dating back, I met my my elder about 20 years old, and his name was Tony Stonehouse. And that began my journey on the Red Road, walking the Red Road. So again, I'm 52 now. So I've been doing this thing for a long time. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been sitting in ceremony, writing books, and doing all this stuff for about 30 years. So and again, this is my passion because it brought me from this place of death to this place of life. And now, what's the beautiful thing now is, we're talking about life. Again, life is most important.
Very beautiful. Thank you for sharing your story. It's very precious to hear where you come from and also your circle of life. And that's what you said before. It's about the circle of life. And I'm very interested also in your medicine wheel, how your medicine works, which phases of the life you go through, in which direction.
Okay.
That would be also interesting.
Okay. Well, Grandfather Tony, everything begins with spirit, like the prayer, right? People want to know where to begin. We talked about it. We touched on it a little bit earlier. So like the 4 quadrants of the medical line, and there's so many aspects to it, but we're going to touch on these 4 teachings. So on the spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical. Right? If everything begins with the spirit, then we sit in the east direction. Again, the sunrise ceremony is so powerful. That's the ceremony that gives us life. That's the ceremony that gives us back our life. New beginnings. Again, we don't welcome one ancestor back, we welcome all the ancestors back. And these ancestors, so the ancestors, let me back up a little bit. So the ancestors are more than just the 2-legged, right? Our ancestry is all life. So again, the first beaver, the first bear, the first wolf, those are all our ancestors. And I can remember when Grandfather Tony first talked about this, right? It was absolutely mind-blowing because at that time, I didn't have any connection to my people and my ancestry. So he introduced this, like the Eagle Nation. He introduced the Bear Nation as my direct ancestors. And I thought, and I still think, that is one of the most, and the buffalo and the beaver and the wolf and the fire and all these beautiful, powerful ancestors. And each one of these ancestors came with a beautiful teaching, right? So then, so that's how I began. I began in the East. My medicine wheel is emotion to the south and mental to the west and physical to the north. And the colors are yellow, black, red, and then white.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I have what the medicine wheel taught me, and this is also very similar to what you're referring to our ancestors, that we are spirit making a human earth experience.
Absolutely.
And no humans making a spiritual experience and thinking, oh, we are so spiritual because we're doing this or that. And that's exactly what the medicine wheel tells us. We come from spirit and we go there in the end. So what we are in between is human, with our physical
Yeah.
body, with our
Right.
emotional body, with our mental health, and everything like this.
Right.
So
You know, that's like the textbook definition of humility. Right. That is the definition to understanding that we are the beautiful spiritual beings, right? We are having a human experience, right? And we go through these emotions, we go through these feelings, we have these thoughts, and um, the idea to this is that the spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, they are all supposed to be in alignment, right? That's what we're supposed to do. So like we don't pray in one direction and then think in the other, and then mentally we're somewhere else, and then physically like we're somewhere else. You know, again, the colonial sickness breaks all that up. Like like if we feel bad, like if we feel sad, like there's a pill for that, right? Right. Instead of going out to those things that will align us um, with life. You know, like here's the thing, right? I have never met anyone, and I do a lot of teaching. I have never met anyone who has gone to the ocean, gone to the stream, gone to the beach, and felt worse afterwards. It hasn't happened because there's absolute beauty. There's actually a vibration. There's a sound. Life has a sound. And when we go walk in the woods, we had a beautiful walk this afternoon. It was really, really beautiful. But and I was listening to all these beautiful sounds and hearing it, and not just hearing it here, but really taking it. Like, so it is never too late to start aligning our life. The first prayer at the center of the universe with Mother Earth, with the moon, with the rain, with the fire. It is never too late. That's like the other thing that I get. It's like, well, I'm 62 years old, and I'm 72 years old, and I've lived my life. No, what the medicine wheel says is it is always will always give us life. It will always give us a beautiful, powerful life. When we sit with the medicine, we simply align our thoughts and our prayers, our emotions, and then our body will follow through with that. It's supposed to be an absolute, absolute alignment. That's what the medicine will say.
yeah, it connects us to life.
Yeah.
And also to the source of energy. So when we connect with the medicine wheel, there's always endless energy and always endless love also. So this is
Actually here. Actually, can I read you something?
Of course.
I wrote a book. In fact, I wrote a lot of books about it. But here, this is daily medicine, and this is today. These are meditation books. So these are medicine wheel meditations, 7 sacred grandfather teaching meditations. And so we went over today on my live. The spiritual paradox is the more love we carry, the lighter the love. Let me read that again. The spiritual paradox is the more love we carry, the lighter the load. So the more we understand what this beautiful life is, the more humility that we carry, the lighter the load. The more truth we carry, the lighter the load. The more wisdom we carry, the lighter the load. The more courage we carry, the lighter the load. And you know what love does? Love carries all those. And like here's the thing, it's not what we carry that is heavy, it is how we carry. When we carry with absolute love, then then we become these beautiful, healthy beings. Right? You know, we don't detox and retox our minds. You know, we don't detox our bodies. We don't toxify our relationships. We end up being in really beautiful, powerful relationships. Beginning with Mother Earth, beginning with the ancestors, beginning with the in spiritual realms. If we don't begin in spiritual realms, then you know, once again, everything goes sideways, and I see it all the time. Like these relationships, and it just, you know, like even in my own personal life, I've gone through these, you know, these relationships where, like the other one, you know, they stopped living a spiritual life. If you stop living a spiritual life, stop living out of alignment, then there's problems.
Hmm.
I'm doing a lot of talking. You have any more questions?
No, it's perfect. It's wonderful
Yeah.
to listen to
Yeah.
you.
So,
Do you, in your medicine wheel, do you have only 4 directions, or do you have also in between directions, or how many directions do you have in your medicine
we
wheel?
have 4 cardinal directions, so it'll be east, south, west, and north. Those are the cardinal directions. We have 7 directions, which is east, south, west, north, up, down, and in. So to the sky and talking about it, and the 7th direction is the love direction. That is the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit is, you know, again, it is the one that. So the prayer goes, you know, one of the prayer goes is Creator. The Great Spirit is the Creator and center of all life. The Creator and center of all love. The Creator and center of all light. The Creator and center of all direction. So that it encompasses all these other directions, and it carries it to a very beautiful healing place.
And you mentioned the 7 sacred teachings. They are connected to the 7 directions.
Every direction has a teaching. So the east would be, you know, again, you know, different medicine wheels are, you know, different. You know, Grandfather Tony said, you know, for me, the east is humility. South is truth. West is courage. North is honesty, and then love. Love would be the Creator, and truth. Truth would be Mother Earth. Yeah. Yeah. So you know, so the directions and the teachings. So let's talk about truth a little bit. You know, truth is truth is carried by the turtle, right? The turtle is low to the ground. The turtle doesn't live in its shell. The turtle is its shell, right? So there's a teaching there. There's a teaching there for us, and that is that we do not live on Mother Earth, but we are Mother Earth. Right? That's we are supposed to be close and grounded to Mother Earth at all times, and the truth is, we are supposed to understand and walk with all of these other teachings too, like humility. Like, you know, again, you know, early in my journey, I really struggled living a good life. Right? I suffered from addictions. I suffered from incarceration. I suffered from, you know, all these things from these traumas that I had, right? And it wasn't until Grandfather Tony started teaching me to again live the medicine, right? And you know one of those teachings is you know, like anybody can live a spiritual life when everything is going good, right? You know, it's really learning to live a good life when things are not going right. you know. And so it's applying the truth, it's applying love, it's applying humility in every aspect of our life, right? It's applying honesty in every aspect of our life. And, sometimes, like people struggle with it, right? Truth is outward, honesty is inward, right? And we struggle with it. We struggle with like those things that we say. We struggle with those things that we shouldn't say, right? But it's learning to live a good life, learning to live the way of the turtle, the way of the bear, the way of the eagle. These are the things that connect us to Mother Earth.
The beautiful thing is that all people, they work differently. Some refer more to the color, some refer more to the animals which are in the directions, some refer more to the elements, some refer more to body functions in the elements. But if you find your own way to connect to these directions, you start to get into that frequency of the direction.
Right. Absolutely.
And if you're feeling that, and if you're embodying this direction, then there is no space for frequency like fear or all these human made up problems frequency.
Right. We learn to live in accordance with spiritual law. That's the deal. And the thing, like these ancient agreements, that's what they are. Love is in ancient agreement that we have forgotten. These 7 sacred teachings, the medicine wheel, they do not negotiate. Right? Like the truth, it's the truth. Like we can't say, we can't change it, right? And we live in a world that changes the truth all the time, right? So there's natural law and there's man law, and they are so far apart right now. And it's designed, it's social engineering designed to keep us sick. Right? So, what do we do when we want to be healthy? Well, we start living a good life according with spiritual law.
Yeah, that's the laws and the cosmic order which taught me, which I was taught by the medicine wheel.
Right.
There is our own order we make up with our mind, and we think things have to work like this and that and that. But there is a higher order, that's the cosmic order.
Right.
And there are laws in nature and in the cosmic universe, And if we don't live according to these, then we step out of alignment, and then struggles and problems begin.
Right. There's a segment that I teach about language, right? Indigenous language connects us to all these sacred laws, right? English, the language that I speak, it doesn't really connect us to anything, right? So there's a sickness there. So once I speak the language, right, I'm speaking the language of the sickness, right? But so let me give you, let me give you a couple things. So water. We did not have a word for water. Right? We had a word for flowing harmony because it connected us to what? Water and light. Like a water, it's just like, it's like, okay, it's water. But when we understand really what it is medicine that connects us to life. Imagine drinking flowing harmony all day long. In our Soto language, we have 4 words for love, and we have none for war. About living in a culture like that. we had a word for love and everything like that. And we didn't have a word for poor because we didn't need a word for poor because we didn't know what that was. It's a construct of a sick culture that creates a word like poor because it needs it. Because someone has to win and someone has to lose. Someone has to be rich. Someone has to be poor, right? Someone has to win. Someone has to lose. Someone has to be high. Someone has to be low. Someone has to be right. Someone has to be left. It's very, very divisive. But in indigenous language, and I encourage you to talk to other indigenous people from around the world and really um, start to understand their language in reference to um, not what it is, but what it connects us to. Right? And then once we start doing that, then there's no other place for us to go then heal and be healed. And that it is that absolute connection to life that matters. And you really, without the language, what are we really connected to? Right? Like the language is the underlying current to what emotion and our mental capacity, right? So really, what are we really saying about it, right? How are we speaking and who are we speaking to? In the English language and like the other colonial language, like these languages will keep us sick. Like if we don't use, I was talking to a couple days ago. I got a phone call from an elder in the States, and we had this beautiful conversation about people forgetting to use language in a spiritual way, in a spiritual sacred way. Right? That is also natural law. That is a spiritual agreement. So when we start speaking in a sacred way, we will be reminded what is sacred, and then we will start treating them in a sacred way, like Mother Earth. Right? When we start talking in terms of Mother Earth being a sacred feminine, guess what? Our bodies, our biology will change. Right? We will connect to this beautiful thing that gives us life. Mother Earth has given us life. She is the sacred feminine, right? It's not just a sacred feminine, it is the sacred feminine, right? So, like, if we're really trying to find that harmony and balance, we can't do it without a relationship with the one that gives us life.
Yeah, that language is based on
Right.
devotion and humbleness. And that's what we didn't really learn, to be devotive and to be humble
Right.
to Mother Earth and
Right.
everything she gave us and all the origins.
Our traditional teachings, like back 100, 150 years ago, 200 years ago, my people, we didn't have schools. It was the mothers and the grandmothers that took the children out and taught them how to connect to the world, right? To Mother Earth, to the water, to the rain, to the seasons. There's so many beautiful spirits. We could be here 1,000 lifetimes and only know a little, right? I've been doing this for 30 years, and guess what? I know I don't really know that much, right? But I know where to go. You see, that's the thing. I don't need to know anything. I just need to know where to go. You see, that's the difference between the colonial world, the patriarchal world, that teaches us knowledge but no wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
But when we start living the ways of Earth with the medicine wheel, with the seven sacred, it's all the same thing, right? It's all the same thing because it connects us to this beautiful thing called life. Without it, guess what? We won't have a life, and we won't know how to celebrate life because we're not connected to it. That's what's so important. So that's what That's what the opening prayer was. When we connect to all life, we begin to understand that.
Mm.
And if we don't connect to the four-legged, to the wing, how are we going to understand that? Let's go back to this love conversation, right? Love in the colonial world that is kind of like whittled down to some sort of like lustful affair, right? And that can be part of it, but really love is that absolute connection to life. And you know what? Like how can we live a life if we're not connected to those things that give us life? You see that there's a clinical break. There's a psychological break when we don't live the ways of earth. Right? People become sick when we move away from earth, the ways of earth. The people become sick, and that's where we are now. We have forgotten how to treat the water. Right? We've forgotten how to speak to water in a sacred way. Right? We have forgotten to speak to Mother Earth in a sacred way. If we don't speak to and with Mother Earth in a sacred way, and how are we going to understand how to live a good life? And the fact is, we can't. There's no way that we can't. There's no way. There's not enough drugs in the world, not enough drinking in the world. There's not enough, lustful things in the world. There's just not to to fill that void that is left by the original trauma. The original abuse is really taking us away from Mother Earth. That's it. So what do we do to heal? Well, we go back to the ways of earth. It's really that simple, right? Right.
Mm.
The Western colonial world, like they want to diagnose us, right? Like if you're sad, here's a pill. If you're lonely, here's a pill. Here's something like that pharmaceutical grade thinking, right? Whereas the indigenous people of Earth, we know how to be happy because we live in that constant state of amazement with Mother Earth, right? But we live away from that self-soothing entitlement behavior, right? Like you go out to any colonial school and you start asking them about Mother Earth, and they don't know. So that's the way to keep the people sick. So we, as indigenous people, personally, I do a lot of traveling, and so I travel, and this is what I talk about. That we have to go back to Earth, and it's really it's the great creator. It doesn't make terms that hard, right? The teachings aren't hard, but we have to do it. Right? One of those things is like a basic teaching about how to get to in alignment with life, love, and Mother Earth is what it is. A simple tobacco offering. We live in a world where we are takers, right? Like they're religions, right? Give me this, give me that, Jesus, give me this, give me that, just give me all that. I'm not gonna give you anything for, but I need everything from you. And so that produces this thing called entitlement. It produces this sickness called greed, right? Right. Greed is just simply that I just don't have enough. But when we offer, when we live in that full circle, right? Part of that is understanding, here, this is my offering to you for my prayers to be heard. That's why we make those offerings. Right? That's how we live. That's how we begin to live the way of love. That's the way to live the way of humility. Again, it's always about gratitude and thank you and offering. It's always about starting with spirit, starting with prayer, living in that humility, making that offering. I love you. Here is, here's a beautiful definition about love, right? I want everything for you and nothing. And then the reciprocal would be standing there for both. So we're both receiving and we are both offering. Like if we want to learn to live in a full circle, that's the way to live in a circle. Without it, we go sideways. Thinking goes sideways. Our emotions go sideways. We start feeling resentful. We start feeling jealous. We start feeling all these things, right? And these are the beginning of separation from us and the spirit from us and Mother Earth. But when we get back to the basic and just being like, you know what, thank you for life. Puts everything, it evens out everything in there. Thank you for life. Thank you for teaching me these things. Thank you for teaching me about the eagle. Thank you for teaching me about the bear. Thank you for teaching me about the wolf. Thank you to the ancestors, right? Like you see how the energy shifted when I was talking about the colonialism. Now I'm just talking about gratitude. So the basic thing is, to use kind words. We don't use, like we live in a world that has a really bad language, but that bad language still has really beautiful and powerful and compassionate words. To give life, we must be the life givers. Right? And again, we get this from the sacred feminine. Talking to a grandmother, and I really be brief about this because I'm not supposed to talk about grandmother teaching because I'm not a grandmother, right? But here's a little brief teaching, right? And she was saying about the sacred feminine, like the womb space. Right? That's a life giving. Life giving is not just a one time event. Like if you have like one kid or two kids, you're giving life. But the whole prayer behind the womb space is that the sacred feminine always gives life. And that's why the grandmothers are so powerful, because they've learned to do it, because they've walked the ways. They lived with Mother Earth. They know the water. They know the rain. They know the season. These are life that they have made good relations with them. So that's why the tribes on Turtle Island were a matriarchal society, not a patriarchal society. And again, that's where the sickness comes in. When we move from this is like the patriarchy, right? This is like, up here, and the rest of us are all down here, right? But again, this is the way that we're supposed to live. We are supposed to live in this beautiful full circle, intertwined and overlapping. That is the only way to live. And I forgot your question. I don't know what was that. I don't know. I feel really bad.
Question doesn't matter. No, it's very beautiful. I want to refer to the gratitude to give, not only to Mother Earth, but also to all the elements. And as soon as you start giving gratitude, the spirit is giving you even more, And when I was in a sweat lodge once, it was so amazing. I could feel Mother Earth, and she was giving us gratitude, because we are recognizing her as a spirit. We are recognizing her, honoring her, being humble towards her, and thanking her, being grateful to her. And she immediately felt it, and she was grateful that we are appreciating her. And that was a very beautiful gesture of her.
Well, again, this goes back to offering, right? The sweat lodge ceremony is an offering. It's a purification ceremony, but it's also an offering ceremony. And we really offer the one thing that we can truly give. Like we can give our words, we can give our prayers, we can give medicine. But really, the sweat lodge really teaches us that, hey, we have to give all of us. We have to be all in, right? Have to give. We give our sweat, we give our bodies for what? For our prayers to be heard, right? For our prayer to be heard, not what we want, not what we need. My teaching is that we go into sweat lodge to offer prayers to all life, not just ours. And the specific teaching is that we pray for all other life before we pray for ours. What I offer to you, I offer to myself. What I fail to offer to you, I fail to offer myself. So we offer ourselves for our prayers to be heard. And there's on a personal note, I just don't want to be sick anymore. I don't want to live in that world that will leave us sad, lonely, scared, depressed, afraid, in fear all the time. And growing up the way I did, that's exactly the way I lived. I wasn't in fear, I was in terror my whole life. I didn't know whether I was going to be alive by the end of the day. I'm not being dramatic, but that's the way I felt. And it wasn't until I learned to walk these ways, especially when it's difficult. Again, if this were easy, everybody would do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If this life were easy, if connecting your Mother Earth was easy, everybody would do it. But the fact is, connecting takes time. Prayer is about patience. Prayer is about preparation. Prayer is understanding the flow. It's understanding that a prayer is a season or a day. That's what a prayer is. People don't understand that because we live in a world where it has to be right now. Like if I don't get my result right now, then my prayer wasn't working. Right? That's not the way prayer works. Prayer offers us what we are needing. And it's more about understanding and accepting, that lesson. And so that conversation goes from what is life doing to me to what is life doing for me. Like there's situations, growing up that or right now, right, where I really have to sit back and really go back to these basic teachings and being like, what is this situation doing for me? Like, we get out of that victimese talking, that sickness, right? This person did that person, this situation did that, and really, I just sit back and just be like, okay. Like in like my own personal life, it's like what is this situation doing for me? Like how can I create a beautiful life with what is before me? And you know what? There's always a way. There's always, and not to say it's easy. A lot of times it's really difficult, but the fact is I'm better on the other side of it than I was being scared and afraid before. And that's what humility does. That's what courage does. That's what love does. Actually living these ways. It's not just a word that we put out there. It's a spiritual agreement that we walk with, right? And you know what? And it's not, the prayer doesn't walk away from us. We walk away from the prayer. So that means that the Great Spirit is telling us that there are consequences. That we have to be responsible when we understand, when we dismiss that agreement, when we walk away from humility, when we walk away from truth, when we walk away from Mother Earth, when we walk away from the spirit of the water, the spirit of the fire. That's why I choose now not to walk away from these prayers, but to maintain, right? People ask me what I do, right? I travel the world, I go all these beautiful places. And, people say I'm a writer, I'm a musician, I'm doing film work. I've done some film work, and like they ask me what I do, and what I simply do is I hold on to that prayer. I hold on to that love prayer like my ancestors did with me. When my ancestors were being cut down, by the U.S. cavalry, guess what they did? They went to ceremony. When my elders who were being hunted down by regiments of the Canadian, armed forces, like guess what they did? They went to ceremony. And you know what? They stayed in ceremony. And so what has happened in my life is I've been in these situations where, I've been forced to stay in this beautiful place of ceremony, this beautiful place of love, because I don't know where else to go. I really don't. I just like, I look down that lonely road, and that lonely road is walking away from the teaching of the medicine wheel. Like the medicine wheel is there to give us a good life. And it's not like a recommendation, right? Well, I think I'm going to walk down this road, and I'm going to like do a couple of things. I'm going to act spirit. I'm going to go to ceremony, and then I'm going to go and then, go off and do my own thing, right? No, that's not the way it works. What's happening here is, like we live that life. The medicine wheel is how to live a good life. One where we don't have to be scared. We don't have to run anywhere. We don't have to run to anything or away from anything, right? Right. That's what so the deeper teaching behind it is that's what it teaches me to do, right? And you know what? It's constantly teaching me things. It is constantly teaching me, right? School is never over. There's no final bell, right? It's just kind of like us and just like the situations that I get myself into. It's like, okay, well, let's figure this out, right? But let's do it in a good, calm, peaceful, beautiful way. Because, back over, 30 years ago, 32 years ago, like I was really, the way I grew up, like with heavy trauma and heavy abuse, like, it taught me how to be violent, right? But the medicine really taught me another way. Like the world taught me like how to be drunk, and the spirit world taught me how to live sober. Right? It's how to walk in a really beautiful and gentle way. I tell these stories about like my past and like how ridiculous it was, kind of like to be gentle with that. But now people come up to me and say like, yeah, I can't believe you were like this. Like it's like really, I can't believe you were incarcerated. I can't believe you were drunk. I can't believe you were fighting. And like that's all. The medicine wheel here is about transmuting, transmuting, finding new energy and new love, and knowing how to use that new energy and that new love. So what? We don't have to hurt ourselves anymore, and we don't have to hurt anyone anymore. Right? It teaches us healthy boundaries, right? The truth is a really healthy boundary. You know what? It freaking hurts sometimes. Humility, right? Right? We get that confused with humiliation, right? But really, it's a spiritual agreement. Humility is a beautiful spirit that keeps us in line, and that gives us the ability to live a beautiful life. And without it, right? Like without these wings, then where are we? Right? We're stuck somewhere. We're angry somewhere. We're drunk somewhere. We get into these relationships and just like, they hurt, right? And really the first relationship is, our relationship to the spirit and the unseen. Our relationship to humility. Right? That's the first relationship. Our relationship in the morning when we face that east direction, right? our relationships with those things that give us life, air, water, fire. If we don't have a good relationship with them, then we're not going to have a life. That's it. We're going to be angry, lonely, depressed. We're going to be somewhere else. We're going to be looking for something, running from something, running to something instead of finding something and, being that beautiful, beautiful place. And like, here's the thing, right? Grandfather Tony, right? So I come from this really ugly place, right? Really, really ugly place. And, Grandfather Tony said that I was a beautiful flower. And I didn't understand it. I said, Tony, but they did this to me. And that's how many times they did it. This is what they took from me. And they took everything from me, right? I internalized that trauma so much, I became that trauma, right? But when I started walking the red road, he said, actually, I said, I'm going to blow this. These are kind of like, these are flowers, right? A couple of days old, but they're flowers, right? They're beautiful flowers. So he said, you are a beautiful flower. And Grandfather Tony told me time to sit with these flowers, right? And that's how we decide. We have a live studio audience here. So she's really excited to be here. So anyway, so Tony, and this is the medicine real teaching. These are all medicine real teaching. So Tony taught me to sit with the flower, right? She told me to listen to the flower. Again, I said, Tony, I don't understand why I'm listening to a flower. It's just like this little crinkle flower. And said, well, because you don't know how to listen, right? Listening is the first form of communication, right? And that's what the medicine said. That's what the spirit says, right? We think talking, the Western world, the colonial world, the patriarchal world, like if you're not talking, then you're not being heard, right? Well, no, that's we are spiritually dyslexic, right? That's the deal. We have forgotten not to listen. That is the first form of communication. And that's what Grandfather Tony was trying to tell me in a beautiful way, to learn about humility, that I was this beautiful person. And you know what? Beautiful people, you know what happens? They bloom from the inside, just like a flower. Right? Like we dress up the outside like that colonial, not like we have the heart, but like the house, the car, we have all this makeup, we have all this beautiful stuff. But you know what? On the inside, we're rotting. And like that's where I look. And these are basic medicine we were teaching. He said, Brother Wayne, you haven't forgotten how to bloom from the inside. So when when we did this thing, he said, here. And these are beautiful flowers. We are all beautiful flowers. That's a medicine we all teach. We all bloom from the inside. We're all different sizes and shapes and colors and ages, right? But we all have the beautiful opportunity to live these beautiful life. And you know where that flower started? It started with one prayer, with one seed. That's where we all come from. We all come from this beautiful place at the center of the universe, and we have forgotten that. Because over through this, that, and the other thing, we're trying to be something, not become something, right? Right? We have confused what we want with what we need, right? And we forgot who we are, what we are, and like where we're going. But the fact is that the medicine world teaches us really basic, beautiful things, that we are all beautiful people, and that we are all equal, and that we all bloom from the inside. And the beautiful thing is, we're all beautiful flowers. We all have something different to offer. We all have something of value here to give to what? Not only to ourselves, to find ourselves, to live in this beautiful community called Earth. We are all people of Earth. And that's what that is. If there's one message that I want to get out there, is that we are all beautiful people, or we are all indigenous of Earth, that we have forgotten. We have to slide away nationalities, slide away religions, and slide away all these things that divide us, and then we have to become and realize that we're all walking this beautiful, beautiful Earth, and this beautiful, beautiful that we have forgotten. And it's I think it got me a little fired up.
Yeah, it's about remembering.
Yeah.
When people ask me, what is the medicine wheel? what is it about? I always try to say nothing. I just say, come to my workshop and you will feel it by yourself.
Yeah.
You will figure out for
Yes.
yourself what is the medicine wheel. But your words now were really, really beautiful to listen to, how you described the medicine wheel and how you enlighten what it is and how you also live it, and how you practice it in your culture. This is very beautiful.
We are supposed to be celebrating life. You know what we're supposed to be? We're supposed to be happy. I don't know if you know that, right? In this world, we're supposed to be happy. We're supposed to use kind words. We're supposed to be humble, right? Right? But here's like the thing, right? People get overwhelmed with what's going on out there, right? Right. They get overwhelmed with the war. They get overwhelmed with the poverty. They get overwhelmed with politics. They get overwhelmed like with all that, right? But when we start walking the way we're that right size our thinking and our minds, it's what we feed our minds that will determine the way we walk and the way we pray. We feed ourselves loving things. We become what? Loving. We feed ourselves these beautiful things called humility, like this beautiful flower here. This is about humility right here, and understanding that. Without this, where would we be, right? Where would we be, right? We'd be stuck again in this place of, Armageddon or wormwood or whatever they're talking about. I'm coming from a place where, it doesn't have to be that way. And you know what? Humanity still has a beautiful opportunity to transmute back into something beautiful. That's the deal. One drop of rain doesn't look around at a billion drops of rain and says, you know what? I don't matter, right? What the medicine wheel says is what you do matter. That one drop of rain, that one prayer, that one life, that changes the world, right? That changes the world. Just sit with that. Say, you know what? My one prayer. What we have done tonight, the ears and the hearts that we will reach tonight, will what? Will change the world, because that's what the medicine wheel says. That's what the Great Spirit says. That's what the prayer says at the center of the universe. It's that what we are, that love is so powerful, it changes everything that it touches, right? And here's the resonance out. That things that were hurt, things that will be broken will be healed. That's what it says. Right? And that's what I believe, because that's what I've become. I am a different person because I do a few things differently, right? I turn off the media, right? Because that's their narrative, right? I don't listen to that. I don't listen to people from churches. I don't need a Messiah, right? I don't need that. I need, you know, I need to sit with medicine people. That's what I need. I need to sit with other cultures and their elders and their medicine. When I sit with them, I become better. And when we sit together, we become better. We become better people. That's why we're here. That's what we're supposed to do, right? And I guarantee you, there's people in this audience that have become better simply because what we have done, because the medicines have come together, right? Because this resonates, this makes sense, right? This is the only thing that makes sense to me, right? The church, it never made sense to me. Like believing in the hymn, and it changes. It goes from the hymn, and now we go back to the we, and that makes more sense to me. I don't want to be in charge. I want to be in service. I don't want to take from you. I want to offer something to you. I want to give you a chance to have a really beautiful life. Like that. Come sit with us in prayer. Come sit the Indigeneous way. And there's, again, let's circle back to the first part of the conversation. There's so many right ways to sit. So I love to go to South America and sit with the shamans down there. I just love it. I'm just like a little kid in a candy store, because I'm hearing this beautiful thing that resonates with my spirit, that resonates with the first prayer at the center of the universe. Can I tell you one story? I got a story for you.
Mhm.
It's one of my favorite stories. I tell it all the time. So there's a friend of mine. I had a prayer community in Miami for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years, right? And we hosted people from different parts of the country. So we had Cherokee medicine men there, we had Lakota medicine men there, we had all these people, come through, like the roadland, right? So there was a relative of mine that came down from Onion Lake, Saskatchewan. I was living in Miami at the time, and his medicine was connect to all the hearts, right? To the people. It was really beautiful medicine. And so he came and left. And what Grandfather Tony, my elder, says, well, if we are to deepen our relationships, right? So I wanted to deepen my relationship with this heart medicine stuff, right? Because I think it's really cool, right? Hey, connecting the hearts. I love that, right? Let me sit with that. Let me understand. Let me pray with that. Let me pray for that so I can become that, right? So, like we said before, prayer is about preparation, right? Prayer is about patience, right? Prayer is about understanding the flow, right? Right. So in the mornings, I would wake up and sit in my meditation space, and I would offer a little tobacco, right? And so I'm sitting there. My relative just left. I'm looking at this huge live oak tree right there, right? And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, people have heart. I know the birds have heart. I know the fish have hearts. But the tree, I don't know where your heart is. And again, prayer is about preparation, right? So this is spirit, and you can write that down here. So I started offering a little pinch of tobacco, right? My prayer was to this one live oak tree, where is your heart? To a tree, right? To a tree. And then I went off for 6 weeks. I had offered this, made my offering for 6 weeks. I didn't hear anything, right? But I kept on doing it, right? I remained consistent, right? And on the 6th week, I was walking up to the tree, and I heard it. The tree said, "I am all." And tears, running down my eyes. And I remember walking up to the tree, and I remember touching it. I said, "That is like the trunk, right? Like the main body of the tree, like that is my heart, right?" And I remember going up to the branch, right? Sliding my hand down that branch and said, "That is my heart too." Tears running down my. I can remember where the trunk meets Mother Earth. I said, "That is my heart too." The tree asked me, "Can you be all heart?" And I'm asking you, can you be all heart? Can you be as powerful and as poignant as the tree and the prayer? Can you be all heart? And I think about it. I think about it almost on a daily basis. I'm like, wow. I'm in situations right now. I'm just like, oh, can I be all heart? I really put myself out there, right? In like the social media world, right? People are, sometimes you're not that nice to me, right? And I say, well, can I be all heart? Right. So I'm asking you and your audience, can you be beautiful and grounded in all heart? In all heart in the middle of the winter. Middle of the spiritual winter. Middle of the spiritual winds, can you be all? That's the deal. That's how we become spiritual, right? And that's how we learn to be. That's how we learn to walk. Again, if it were easy, everybody would do it. But the fact is, it's easier to come from this place of the case of understanding, right? So there's, and I'll be all hard all the time. And like, here's the deal. Like, we don't graduate from this, right? There's no finish line. It's about bits and pieces, about us doing a little better than we did yesterday. It's about us being better humans. Can I be a better human today than I was yesterday, last week? Right? And there's still situations in my life where I'm still trying to figure that out. What is the best? Can I be? How can I be the most loving person in this situation? How can I offer this compassion? People attack me. I just offer them, hey, I love you, brother. I love you. It's like, can I do this? I recently may have been diagnosed with something, right? There's something like within me, right? And so that was like really, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can be all part all the time anymore. But the fact is, once I started to walk through that, right? I guess what, the sickness started to leave me, right? So the way we walk heals who we are, what we are. It starts with the spiritual and ends up with the physical. And that's my experience, right? Right. Life is experiential, and we have to experience these things, experience this love, right? Experience the wisdom, right? Wisdom isn't wisdom until we live the lesson that we've learned. Otherwise, it's something else, right? And that cycle will keep repeating, right? And, everything we talked about is the medicine wheel. The medicine wheel is life, whether we understand it, whether we walk with it or not. It's either, it's constantly teaching us, right? That's the medicine. The seasons tell us that there's, we're all in different seasons of our lives. We're all going through different seasons of situations, right? It's just not as polar and as to one side or like the other. It's just, we have to live and finish out every season, every prayer. The season is a prayer, so we have to live out that prayer. If we don't live out that prayer, then we will cycle through again and again and again until we learn to understand, that beautiful lesson, and that beautiful lesson is learning to live a better life, a good life.
Yeah. Also, the tradition of the medicine wheel, I was taught, they say that people who use the medicine wheel or who give further the knowledge of medicine wheel are called rose warriors. So the flower rose stands also for love and the heart.
Sure.
So it's all
I like
connecting
that.
to the love and to the heart when we connect with the
South
medicine
American
wheel.
medicine. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like South American medicine. Yeah, absolutely. They love
And
their
we have a
flowers.
question from the audience. We have from our beautiful friend Frank from Berlin. He's asking,
Right.
Wayne, do you believe in a life after death?
We go to the next world. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So we just travel in this world and then we move on to the next world. Right? That sounds like kind of like a colonial kind of question, right? The life after death. Well, life continues, right? That's the way that this is. We don't cycle. Like we're not done here, right? We're here to learn. So those things we need to learn. So we just travel on into the next world, right?
Bernadette, since we already had questions, may I also ask one or two questions?
course, you're welcome.
All right. So I loved the way you were speaking, and I think you pretty much covered, let's say, just as you said, how much can we really know? But let's say the basics of the spiritual viewpoint. You also mentioned colonials, and I've been doing quite a lot of interviews on history and all of these things. And just from your perspective, to the extent that you can say it, or to the extent maybe that your elders relate this to you, since when is this colonial force really that strong? Because to many people, as you said, they're sick, they are inside the system, they get born within it. It's like the Matrix movie for some, in a way. And then it often seems so overwhelming. It seems this is the all-powerful force, the empire that has always existed with, this aberrant versions of capitalism and greed and all of what you mentioned and all of those things. But then when I do the research and I talk to people that really seem to know something, it appears as if this system, however we would exactly define it, is actually very recent. So if we would look at a timeline, it almost seems as if whatever strange thing is happening today is only a blip on the radar, and the way of life as you describe it has much, let's say, more history to it, obviously, but also that this switch and this sickness appears to be quite recent, at least in the extreme form as we can perceive it today. What are your thoughts or your intuitions about that?
Well, it matters less than how long it's been around than what we're actually going to do about it, right? On Turtle Island, there was a definite time where the invasion happened, right? When the British came, when the conquistadors came, when the French came, when the Dutch came, that was the beginning of the colonial powers, the invaders of Turtle Island. And let me tell you one thing, that we are an occupied reservation. We are occupied now, right? The invaders never left. Right? We, so we have a choice now, right? And it doesn't, matters less. We have a choice. We have a choice to live a good life, or we live another life. Like that. Doesn't matter how long it's been there, right? I don't know. So like if we want to get into that discussion, we get into that discussion. But really, at the end of the day, choice is whether we live a spiritual life, live, or live in a colonial world and suffocate to death. Most of the world is suffocating, right? That's what we see. So we live by choice, not by chance. This is not a choice. There are ways, and this is a beautiful way to live a beautiful life. Either you choose to live this way, or you don't, or you choose to keep on doing those behaviors, right? Choose to think this, drinking and drugging bonds, whatever it is, those things again. Or we choose to, I think it was John Tudell, we choose to live the way of earth. I choose to live the way of earth. Right? It's really that simple. We don't need to complicate it. We don't need to decide where it came from. We call the Romans before that. I don't really care where it came from. I know it's here, right? And now I have the distinct choice to create a better life for me. And here's the deal. I create a better life for me. I create a better life for the next 7 generations, because how I live my life is my prayer that I am offering the next 7 generations, and I choose to live the life.
Thank you. I agree. It's mainly about the present moment, although I'm incredibly interested in these things. And the other thing I would just like to point out is, even with your own story, which is extreme, it really seems to me, just like you said, that even all of the Western world, in a way, are actually indigenous. And that while it may have not been exactly the same way that you described it, but many similar things happened all over the place, just in Europe, just the same. And it just seems to me that this points towards the idea that much of what you are offering can be an antidote, because otherwise how should I say, the system or the colonials wouldn't have given so much effort in, you know, hiding and locking it away and destroying it, and even literally, as you said, kidnapping children. I mean, how insane is that, right? So I just want to give, from my, you know, simple systems point of view, give credence to that this apparently is the original way, let's say, or let's say the old way, maybe the much more obviously more permanent way, also because it is the way that is actually sustainable and healthy in the most, you know, simple sense. So yeah, from my side, I'd just like to thank you very much for sharing all you did, and I'll let you continue and conclude.
But you know, let me say this: when I say the patriarchal system, that's a system. Men benefit from that, but it's really the system. So let's not be man haters. Let's just be, hey, look, it's like the system that men really benefit from. So you know, people have to understand. And like, here's the bottom line: there's a better way. There's a better way, right? You know, you know, you touched on it. This is not a sustainable way to live, to honor, to love, right? It's not sustainable. Look at what we've done to Mother Earth, and you know, in the last 100 years, so we've consumed like 90% of the products that Mother Earth has, like the rainforest, right? You know, yeah, the rainforest. We polluted the water. We're polluting the air. There's you know, stuff in the air. There's stuff on the ground. There's pesticides and herbicides, right? You know, when is the genocide going to stop, right? Well, you know what? It stops when we start living in that system, and we start living the way it works. Like, I'm tired of these people just telling them blah blah blah, blah, all this bad stuff happening. So you know what? You can live a good life if you want to. Right? You know, you can live a good life. You can eat healthy. You can pray healthy. You can do all these things. You can pray with. You know, when we pray with the water changes. I don't know if you knew that. When you pray with Mother Earth changes. I don't know if you know that. These are basic medicine. We like 101 teachings, right? Right.
Beautiful.
And
Thank you very
again,
much.
it's not complicated. No.
Where can we find your knowledge in a book?
Oh, okay. Here we go. Okay, so my two books are a daily medicine. You can get them on Amazon or you know, anywhere books are sold, or Whispers from the Hollow Bone. Coming out with another book probably next month. I'm doing the last edits on it. I have a film documentary coming out next month, actually in a couple weeks, and I'm doing a book signing in France next couple books in France next month, and I'm on social media. I'm on YouTube, Standing Bear the Author YouTube channel, so you can go look. And so I do these live meditations every morning based off these books. And so what we do is we do a live, and I archive them on Standing Bear the Author. So you can go there, like and subscribe, and you know, just scroll through it, and you know, there's a lot of information there. So feel free to go like and subscribe, and you know, just scroll through. So,
Perfect. Thank you very much. That was really very heart-touching, informative, and very connecting, building bridges between different tribes and cultures and countries and individuals. So I appreciate really that you took time for that interview. Thank you, Raphael, for making that possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm very honored to share time in space with you both. So thank you very much.
All the best to you, to Canada.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Raphael.
Radio OKiTALK.